Okay, all set up and ready to go. Hi, my name's Katie, and today I'm going to be telling you my journey of going from what a lot of us are calling New Age. It's a great way to classify, like, pretty much all the popular spiritual endeavors from tarot, Reiki, Akashic, yoga. That one's even painful for me to still accept that that's considered New Age. But all these different things, this is my journey of going from New Age over to Jesus. And I want to tell you guys that I am about a month into having this realization and what a month it has been. When I first started realizing that something might be wrong with what I was doing, I was really resistant to it. At the time, I had been giving Akashic Records readings for money. I was signed up for a Yoni Temple retreat to really explore my womb space. And I have just built an entire community and friendships based around New Age spirituality. And so I want to kind of take you guys back to my background. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on my background, but so growing up, I was raised a Christian. And just to kind of help you guys imagine what the difference is now versus when I was a kid. When I was a kid and I was a Christian, it just kind of felt like it was an obligation to me and it was something that I needed to do. And I just remember being in the church and always having doubts and just being so scared of going to hell because I was having doubts if God was real. But at the same time, I feel like I, at some points of my childhood, had like the most amazing relationship with God and really believed in Him. But there were definitely times when I struggled with doubt. But the way I would consider it is childhood Christianity is when you essentially are just kind of not in the driver's seat. You're doing what your parents are telling you to do, just like you're going to school, being fed what your parents want to feed you, and everything else. My religion was the same way in that sense that I was just doing what I was supposed to do. But I did always love like praying to God. Like I really always felt like I loved God, but there were some parts of religion that even as a child didn't totally make sense to me. Like, how is it that other people that aren't our religion, what are the odds that God would want all of them to go to hell? Like that just didn't sit right with me as a kid. But so I just started to kind of adapt God to fit into the mold that worked for me. And, this is a huge mistake, number one, but I think it's a path that a lot of us go down, and that God lets us go down until we kind of end up in trouble. We end up in hot water, and then He'll snap us back like He did with me. And you'll realize, oh shit, like God put those parameters in place for me for a reason to keep me safe. But sometimes it takes going down the dark alley and getting mugged, this is just a metaphor, to realize that you should have stayed in the walking in the light, aka with God and Jesus the whole time. So my relationship with God really picked up whenever I was in about 5th grade, and I discovered these books about boarding school. And it was all these girls, and they went to boarding school together, and they rode horses, and I rode horses at the time. So I was like, oh my gosh, like if I could go to boarding school, like I would be the happiest person. And it became my dream, my obsession. I was researching nonstop, and I remember my parents just telling me, if you can figure out a way to go to boarding school, then you can go, but we can't pay for it. You're gonna have to figure out a way to pay for it. So 12-year-old me is like, oh shoot, like I gotta figure out a way to pay for it. And so I started praying. I started praying to God nonstop, and I said, God, like if you let me go to boarding school, oh, I have chills just thinking about it. If you let me go to boarding school, I will spend the rest of my life like glorifying your name, telling people about you, and everything else. And lo and behold, about a year or two passes, and we're always told to wait on God. In the Bible, it says wait on God. So I had kind of like, I don't want to say I'd given up on the dream. Like, it was definitely still my dream, but I was just kind of like, well, like, maybe it really is unrealistic to think that I can go. And I was at a horse show, and a lady walked into the arena, and she announced a full ride scholarship for a girl from Oklahoma who loved horses that had financial need. I was a girl from Oklahoma that loved horses that had financial need. This was a brand new scholarship to a boarding school that like had a huge riding program. It was better than anything I'd researched on my own. Like, I had an idea of what I wanted, and God did me one better and gave me like the most amazing boarding school experience. So I applied for the scholarship. Not only did I get to go to boarding school, had it paid for to go to summer camp, international trip. Got to ride so many different horses. Just the most incredible experience. But what happened when I went to boarding school was my freshman year, I was fired up. I wanted to tell everyone about God. He just performed this huge miracle for me. And I was there with a ton of international students, so Oklahoma is technically considered like the Bible Belt. So it was my first time encountering people that weren't predominantly Christian. So I was immediately getting tested. I had a friend that would sit across from me at lunch every day who was atheist and just kind of tell me all the reasons that God wasn't real. And you would think that me getting a full ride scholarship to go to boarding school would be enough to anchor me in. Like, God literally fulfilled my dream. But slowly, I was taking different religions classes. And I was starting to just be like, you know what? All these kids that are different religions, like, they're just like me. I was just raised differently. So I really just think it's all of our different interpretations of trying to interpret the same thing, and this is a conclusion that I kind of came to. So unfortunately, God performed this amazing miracle for me, and I pretty quickly, I would feel like I was only probably like into my sophomore year when I was like, okay, like the whole like strictly just Christianity thing, Jesus died for my sins, all that, maybe that's not the only truth, and like, who am I to think that my truth is better than anybody else's? And I don't want to like condemn myself for that, because I feel like there was a level of empathy that was being expressed through me, and it was really just my first time being exposed to all these other cultures. And I do think there is something to be said with the fact that, yeah, we are all raised in different cultures, and a lot of kids, really can't help the fact that they're brought up in a different religion and such. But anyways, God had performed this amazing miracle for me. I had promised him that I would, continue to testify for him. By my sophomore year, I had folded, and I was no longer trying to share this truth with classmates or anyone. And I feel like I kind of lost my foundation for a lot of my principles and a lot of the things that I stood for. So around that time as well, I just started to become a lot more promiscuous. After my freshman year, I'd gotten cheated on for the first time, and I didn't really have like my faith to give me like the boundaries anymore. So I was just kind of like, whatever, boys are just gonna hurt me, whatever. So I was just getting way too promiscuous. Was that way a lot all throughout high school and really college, and lost a lot of my value and self-worth in that way. Just didn't have, once I lost my faith, I feel like I just almost felt like in that instance, I was like, well, all that stuff I grew up with, I feel like I was just kind of getting lied to. So now I'm just going to live by my rules. And, my rules didn't protect me. My rules didn't really uphold my values at all. And I just felt like when I lost my identity in God, I was really searching for my identity in so many different places. I would always really go above and beyond to just make everyone else feel good and accepted, so that maybe one day I could feel really good and accepted. But, I never really thought that. I was trying to find it without without, you know, being with God. And so I go through college, I join a sorority. All throughout college, I'm just kind of, I had one serious relationship with an amazing man. But other than that, was just, you know, and I treated him even like shit. I was just, I was just kind of treating everything in a very like cheap, disposable way. And that's definitely not something that I'm proud of. And, um, you know, I'm actually really disappointed in how I had an amazing gift from God given to me and was so easily, just by my sophomore year, talked out of it. But other than that, my serious relationship in college, I was again promiscuous, drinking, really trying to find my value in everywhere but God and myself, and Jesus. And so we go through college, just the standard college stuff. Oop, my ring light went out. Just the standard college stuff. And once I graduated from college, I was just finding myself in jobs that I didn't find to be fulfilling at all, and I ended up just in a couple like really bad relationships, as far as the guys that I were dating, just really centered around either me wanting to be popular or alcohol and drugs and straight up just partying, based around all just lust. Like, so that's one thing I want to mention. Whenever I stepped away from God my sophomore year, instead of having God leading my life, I was completely being led by my flesh, aka my body's desires. In high school, that came across as wanting every guy to like me and wanting everything that was unavailable. In college, that came across as kind of same thing, but now we're mixing in alcohol, we're mixing in everything else. Don't get me wrong, I had so many times of really beautiful friendships. And I remember one time, actually, I was pretty much blackout drunk, and a Christian pledge, there were pledge drivers that would drive you from like parties and stuff, and a Christian pledge picked me up, and yeah, he was just kind of talking to me about Jesus, and I just remember I was bawling my eyes out to him, telling him like I missed my faith, like I missed Jesus, and he just had the most like pure, beautiful essence. And I really meant it at the time. I was like, I do miss that, but then it's like time just went on and I just snapped back into my old patterns. And I think that's what's hard, is a lot of times we can realize like God is the truth and, you know, Jesus died for our sins and everything, but it's really easy just to be like, but I'm just going to keep drinking and doing all this stuff because I'm not like taking it very seriously. And I wasn't taking it very seriously when it is more like serious matter. And so I'm just still feeling really lost. So I get out of college, I'm trying to find myself in relationships. I ended up moving to Houston, following a boyfriend that I broke up with before I even moved there, but I had a job, just gosh, all over the place. And so I moved to Houston, and I was just in a really unfulfilling job, and had so much free time on my hands. And so at the time too, I was also dealing with an addiction. And I think whenever you're dealing with addictions, they can actually throw you into different like types of spiritual awakenings. Just if you're ever going through withdrawals, it can really draw out those thoughts in you of just thinking about things on a whole other level. It's pretty interesting. So I think I was going through one of these periods, and I just had so much free time at work. I hated my job, and I didn't have much to do every day. I had like an hour or two of work, and the rest of the time was spent trying to look busy. And so I spent that time, I discovered this website called like I'mHavingASpiritualAwakening.com, and it was perfectly explaining what I felt that I was going through, which was just all this pain was inside of me, and it just needed to come out. And it was talking about that being like the first steps of a spiritual awakening. But before I continue with this story, I want to go back to before I moved to Houston, I was in Oklahoma. And the thing that sparked me even looking up that website in the first place was I was at a party, and I remember telling a girl, I was like, I just feel like I can feel the emotions of everyone in the room. And she was like, oh, I bet that you're an empath. And so there's little things I like to call gateway drugs into the new age stuff, and things such as titling people as empaths, highly sensitive, psychic, everything. These are all things that are very real, but the new age movement, which is, in my opinion, and this is a harsh word if you are from the new age and you're watching this, but I just want you to bear with me. I think that the devil uses things such as targeting really highly sensitive people, people that are just needing to be seen and recognized, because a lot of times highly sensitive people that feel a lot of emotions and they feel a lot of stuff, we are the most vulnerable when someone is coming in and saying, hey, you're an empath, I see you, let me help you. And next thing you know, you're like channeling and doing psychic things, and yeah, I just think that the whole movement really targets people that are like me and potentially like you if you're watching this video, because it's exactly the type of people that it wants in a movement. These either feminine or masculine, but very sensitive, loving people that can really help people feel seen and moved. Like, of course, the movement wants really amazing people to be leading it. And a lot of the time, like, for example, when I was in the New Age, I thought I was working for God. I thought I was working for the right team, by helping people to, get the answers they need, and by healing them with energy healing. Little did I know that the Bible actually warns us about this stuff, and that the devil actually disguises himself as a light being. And so, yeah, when I was working in Houston, I found myself, after I'd heard the word empath, I was looking that up, and I was like, oh my God, this is me. I'm an empath. I can feel other people's emotions. And so that led me to researching having like a spiritual awakening. And I was like, I'm having a spiritual awakening right now. And when you're feeling lost, all you want is to just feel like you're found, and like you figured it out, and that you're trying to fill the hole that only Jesus can fill, that only having a relationship with Jesus can fill. And so the devil is there and ready to walk you through this whole spiritual awakening process that is never ending, mind you, to keep you completely distracted from the fact that we literally already have the thing right there for us, and it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be really simple. But us as humans, we fall into temptation quite regularly, and in a way, I like to call New Age almost like spiritual porn. It feels really like interesting, and it makes you feel like you're gonna have superpowers. You're gonna be special. You're gonna be this elevated person. If you reach this level of enlightenment, you pretty much get to the point where you feel like you are God. And it's really interesting because I was on that path. I was a Reiki healer, so doing energy healings. I was a psychic, doing Akashic records readings, constantly, every person I met, giving them readings, giving them their astrological readings. What I thought I was doing was really helping them feel seen, helping them feel heard. But there is, there's a price for this. At the end of the day, what I was doing was I was trying to take the place of people having a relationship with God and people really relying on Jesus, because I was trying to give them the answers. I was trying to heal them when it wasn't my place to do ever. And I actually ended up having a dream that, and I kind of believe that God was like speaking to me a little bit in this dream, and I pretty much got the message that I was trying to be Jesus, and I can't stand in Jesus's place on the last judgment day. And I was like, shit. I've literally been trying to take the place of Jesus, and I cannot do that. I am immortal, mere human that has honestly been wicked. Like, wicked is a harsh word, but has been super self-centered. I was about to go all in on my Akashic Records business, all in on my spiritual podcast. And what ended up happening is that, well, I want to back up a little bit. So after, I started Googling spiritual awakening, I just decided, like, I just need to find a group of people where I feel accepted, and this whole thing's going to give me, like, superpowers and friends, and I'm going to be able to heal others, and I can build a business, and I'm going to be able to travel. And so I just kind of Googled spiritual retreat Houston, and I found one in Austin, and I went and I started learning about energy healing and got my first tarot readings. And from there, things just really started to progress. Like, I started to really think that I'm psychic. I started meditating, and I had some really, I'm not even gonna lie, I did have some profound experiences doing it, just feeling like I could hear silence for the first time after living with a lifetime of anxiety, and feeling like just like I was gonna maybe be special. And I do still think that the part about, feeling a bit of calm after not feeling anxiety and being mindful and stuff, that fact that happened to me it is what it is. A lot of the New Age Jesus people are teaching, that meditation is not the best route. And I have to agree, because I think it makes you like an open vessel. But yeah, at the time I was like, this is awesome. And I'm such an extreme person that I am all in when I am all in on something. And so I was going down this spiritual path, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to be all in. So I ended up getting fired from that job in Houston, and I remember I got tarot cards, and I started just noticing like signs around me, patterns. I started communicating with spirit guides, and this was just the start of like a 2.5-year journey. So for the next like 2.5 years up until now, I spend that time meditating, reading all the books, reading all the channeled teachings. I ended up getting certified for Reiki 1. I learned how to do Akashic Records readings. I started a spiritual podcast. I try to always keep one hand in the, I don't want to say like real world, but with like friends where we would go out and like grab, drinks or whatever. But then I had this whole other life that was like, I was all in on the spiritual stuff, like all in. And I lost a lot of friends during this time. I don't talk to a lot of my friends from college anymore. I'm sure I still could, especially now. But yeah, I lost a lot of friends during this time, because I was just like, you guys are asleep, I am awake, like, what, la-di-da-di-da. And where am I in the story? It's just a lot. It's a lot, because I mean, this was my life for 2.5 years. So I ended up having like tons of decks of tarot, giving people tarot readings, walking people hand in hand to this lifestyle, and making a lot of friends in it too. Like almost all my good friends are in that community, and I still love them to this day. And my goal, and what I've been told by God through his word over and over, is like, do not try to point out a splinter in someone else's eye when you literally have a wood beam in your eye. And I feel like this is so new for me that I do still have a wood beam in my eye, and I am still trying to figure out my own stuff. So I'm definitely not here to condemn anyone. I'm here if you're curious and you want to learn, for me to help you understand my journey. And so yeah, let's just get to the important parts. So I ended up getting certified for Reiki 1, and I basically I'm starting a whole spiritual business, and I was about to go literally all in, and then a couple of weeks ago, a friend and I both happened to have a dream about Jesus at like the same time, and she texted me, and I was like, that's weird. Like, I also had a dream about Jesus. Now I don't know. Like, now I just think that sometimes the devil will actually use images of Jesus to keep us distracted again from the real Jesus. So I wonder, what was that? But at first I was just kind of like, okay, like Jesus, he was like one of the best energy healers. That's what we kind of would say in the Reiki world. And he was just like a great guy, just like I was comparing him to like Buddha and Ram Dass and everything, and just thought he was just another like great person. I thought he was some people's spirit guides. I remember listening to the Align Within podcast by Ashley Wood, and of course she channeled a message that Jesus was an Arcturian, which is an alien race that demonic energies will disguise themselves as. So basically, what I'm realizing now is that, and just PSA, spirit guides, Arcturians, archangels, all of these things are all, unless you're like communicating with Jesus, and I know this is, if you're still in the New Age, you're going to be like, no, that's not right. Like, your vibration is just low. You're meeting with lower vibrational beings. Seriously, trust me on this one. Well, you don't have to trust me. Look at all the other hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of New Age Jesus testimony videos, and you will see that anything that is your spirit guide or an Arcturian or anything like that, it's all a very elaborate ploy, pretty much, to distract you from what's really going on. Literally anything that is channeled that is not Jesus, even if things are channeling through you that are claiming to be Jesus, you need to like test it and be extremely, extremely careful. So anyways, I had this dream and I look up on YouTube. I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I look up on YouTube. I'm like, okay, the truth about Jesus. That's what I search. And I find all these New Age to Jesus videos. And the first one I start out on, it's not too intense. It wasn't too crazy. It was a girl who dabbled in a little bit of crystals, a little bit of yoga. I think she maybe did tarot once. Not to say like I'm all high and mighty, I did so much stuff, but there really are different levels of exposure where if you expose yourself way more for years, I think it takes a little bit more time to unravel everything, all the lies, all the deception from your mind than if you just dabbled a little bit, luckily had the realization and came out. So the first girl I came to, she had been in the New Age a bit, had threw away all her tarot cards and everything, and was like sleeping with the lights on. She was scared. And so I was like, okay, like her story like kind of resonates with me, but like I don't know if I buy it. Like I think she might just be like, low vibration, and she was getting tested and she failed a test, and now she's just facing her religious childhood traumas. So it's just all these things that the New Age would put in my mind of why anyone would ever go back to their own old religion, why anyone would be having a negative experience. It's her fault. She's not keeping her vibration high. Blah, 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 blah. Like, she just can't step into her worth. So, like, after I saw that first video, I was like, I don't know, like, but I was nervous enough that I like took my tarot cards and I put them in a plastic bag and I tied them up and I put them out in the hallway in the stairwell, but I wasn't ready to throw them away yet because I wasn't sure, but I was like, I just need to get this shit out of my apartment because she did mention that, you know, scary shit can happen if you have like tarot cards and stuff in your apartment. And so what followed after that was the next day, immediately I started facing demonic attacks. Like that night, so I had been doing Kundalini yoga a lot, which is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. Please don't do Kundalini. The chant you do at the beginning and all the chanting you're doing is literally welcoming beings into your body. So I'd been doing Kundalini, I had been channeling the Akashic, I'd been giving tarot readings. I'd been giving tarot readings for quite some time. And so I was completely opened up to these energies. So when I kind of realized like what I had been doing, which is just opening myself up to demonic energies and offering my body over to them to channel through me, which I now consider like a version of almost like enslaving yourself to those energies, and they'll put all the good advice through you and make you have superpowers and be like people's gurus and feel super special, but like the cost is that you're being a puppet and you're letting things move through you. And so I'd been doing this for a while because I liked feeling like I'm the girl with the answers, I'm the girl who knows what's up, I'm the girl who can lead you home, all the while feeling like completely lost, still just being a fucking heathen essentially. But yeah, so demonic attacks started immediately that night. So stuff, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't think scaring people is very helpful, but just energies that were coming down through my head into my body, getting shoved through me. And what I realized was, before I had these realizations and had been doing Kundalini, I would feel like shocking feelings on my head. I would feel like things were being shoved down my throat, all this pressure on my heart, back, and yeah, I just think a lot of stuff, I don't even think I'm ready to talk about this stuff on camera yet, but before I had these realizations, I think that a lot of like spiritual energies were really like taking advantage of my body whenever I was sleeping. And that's just to be completely like transparent. That's like how scary this stuff is when you're opening yourself up to it. But I was told that it's just the Kundalini energy adjusting and that I was just getting worked on by my spirit guides. And don't be alarmed. We know that you constantly have a headache and pressure on your throat, and you're becoming really ungrounded and practically like losing it, but don't worry, you're on your way to a spiritual awakening. Just don't resist. Like, what? How did I ever buy that shit? So yeah, that stuff isn't your spirit guides adjusting your chakras. It's not. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like so demeaning with this stuff. It's annoying when you fucking realize the truth and you're like, oh my god, what have I been like allowing to happen to my body in search of this like epic awakening experience of getting home. And so the next day, demonic attacks were already starting because the energies were realizing like, shit, she's literally about to like flip. We're not gonna be able to use her body anymore. And all the devil wants is to keep you distracted from God. And so, but the next day I was like, I don't think I'm ready to jump like right back into Christianity. I think I'm just gonna go back to being like nothing for a little bit. And just kind of go from there, like just take a little break from everything. But unfortunately that was not an option because already these energies were just like messing with me nonstop. I couldn't really sleep without having these like attacks on me. And so I was like, I can't be nothing because this shit is all real. Like, I'm facing these attacks. I'm feeling it physically in my body. I have channeled energy. Like, I can't just pretend all this isn't real. So I was like, okay, Katie, you gotta like keep doing research. And so I start doing more and more of these New Age to Jesus videos, watching them, and slowly and slowly, all my truths start to completely unravel at the seams of all the stuff that I've been participating in. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what have I been getting myself into? Like, this is scary. And this feels like not the best thing that I've been getting myself into. And so I instantly realized, like, I've been inviting all these different gods. There's all these different goddesses that, like, Sahara Rose has us work with through her deck. Not to just call people out, but she was one of my, like, idols for sure. So, I mean, I still love her as a human. Anyways, I had been inviting all this stuff in to help me. I've been inviting my spirit guides in to help me, Arcturians, so aliens, so just all these different energies. I was like, yeah, come on in, help me out. And all the while just thinking like, oh, it's all just like, these are literally like, how I understood it was like God sent angels to help everyone, and we each have like a certain number of angels that are there to help us. And that we're dumb if we're not like using them. Like, why would we not use them? They're literally there to help us. And I was really sold that they're my best friends. They want me to have fun, and they just want me to live my best life. And that's how it's sold to you. But like, when you look in the Bible, like, nowhere does it say like, and don't forget to utilize your spirit guides. So like, when did this idea get started that like we all have all these spirit guides? And so yeah, I was just about to start really channeling like the different alien races, and just like the more stuff you invite in, like I think the longer it takes to kind of like unravel from everything. That's my opinion. Other videos will say other things. So yeah, once I had the realization that like I've really been fucking up and playing in the devil's playground for the past, since pretty much my sophomore year of high school, but really a lot in the last 2.5 years. And so immediately I throw everything away in my house, all the tarot cards, all the Reiki books, all my crystals. I mean, it was sad to do because it feels wasteful, but like I could not stand to like lead anyone down that path by like donating them or anything. And I deleted all my podcasts, deleted my Akashic Records website, and I went into full-blown grief because I felt like I'd been lied to, and I felt like I was like embarrassed and ashamed, but almost like even worse, I just felt like, oh my God, like, one, I've led so many people to this by giving them readings, and I'm about to lose like so many of my best friends. And I need to like warn everyone, like, because at this point my entire community is participating in this stuff that literally is opening us up just to be puppets and keep us super distracted from the truth. And where the New Age gets everything wrong is, you know, we're just so focused on, in the New Age, on the creation, the universe, nature. We worship, I feel like they worship everything there is to worship. Water. I was like super into spirit animals. Everything. Literally anything you can think of. But we forget the fact, like, it's like we're like, if someone is making like a school project and then you're just obsessed over like the little house they build, but you're forgetting that someone built that house. So like the universe, sure, all well good, but like God made the universe. And so it's a godless system. And that's exactly how the devil wants it. He wants it to be godless. He wants you to just, anything to keep you distracted from the fact that God created us and we are here to worship him and love him. You know, the devil wants to keep us really distracted from that. But when I was in the New Age community, my whole thought process was just, oh no, it's all It's all love and light, and there's no such thing as the devil. The devil does not want you to know he exists. Come on. No. He will use anything and everything to keep people distracted. For a lot of us, that's secret knowledge. That's found through doing ayahuasca, acid, channeling, reading channeled books. So any book that is channeled from source is what they'll say. Is so I just want to kind of draw a picture of this for you. So say like Eckhart Tolle channeled a book, someone else channeled a book. There's hundreds of thousands probably of channeled books. People from all over the place channeled books. All of these books that are being channeled, they're all connected and coming from the same source, which is the devil. And the thing is that, you know, they're not signed by him. They're not glaringly obvious. They do seem to contain answers, but they all connect. All the books connect. All the stuff connects. And it's a whole elaborate system just to really keep you distracted. And a lot of these books will actually explain religion. Like, they have a little place for Christianity, but it's like, this is where it fits, but just, you know, like, that's not everything. That's just their little belief. And I don't know. It's literally just to... I have a hard time explaining this in words, but all channeled information comes from one thing, and it's to keep you distracted from the Bible. It's to keep you distracted from God and Jesus. And it's interesting because the devil will actually use Jesus' name as a tool to trick us into seeing him as something different than our Savior, the person that connects us to God, because he doesn't want us to connect to God. But anyway, so I spent the next 2 weeks after making this realization just in hardcore grief, crying every day, feeling extremely depressed, feeling like all my like passions and hobbies and complete identity had been ripped away from me. And not only had they been ripped away from me, but they were wrong and they were evil and they were bad, like, and had been keeping me distracted. And then on top of that, I have to like then unwind from all these ways of thinking that I've come into, because I got to the point where I thought I'd manifested my boarding school experience, and completely took credit away from God on that. And I was super into manifestation work, and I was just kind of praying to God about it recently. I was like, God, like, some of this stuff still, like, I want to still like do it. So I was like doing TBM, which is Lacey Phillips' program, and I was like, can you explain to me like if this was wrong or not? And I literally was shown a passage in the Bible, and I'm sorry I don't have the verse and book available to me, but it said like, you know, you can grow as a tree, you grow the fruit, but like the fruit comes from me, the tree comes from him. And so a lot of these like manifestation practices and stuff, like, I think there is a way that you can almost like rise to the occasion to receive God's gifts to you, but they are gifts from God, and a lot of these teach that you are the one that is like bringing them into existence. All of these practices are just to really make you think that you can be God and that you don't need God. And the devil will give you like really cheap imitations of things to just to make you think that you are being a God. And that's actually what was Eve's temptation in the Garden of Eden, was she wanted to be like God. That's what the devil tempted her with. And I realized that all throughout my experience in the New Age, I've been tempted with wanting to be a little God. Like, I've been trying to be a little God, and it sounds so crazy now in hindsight. I'm like, wow, that's obviously what I was doing. You know, trying to find secret knowledge through all different sorts of like drug experiences, and the devil also promises eternal life through just making you think you have a million chances through reincarnation. I thought this, I thought I had past lives. There's just so many little things where like he tries to make the same promises as God, but just different to keep you distracted. And it's hard because this stuff is so deeply embedded in our culture now. Like, I look around now and I see art completely differently. I see music completely differently. There's actually a really popular DJ that puts the Kundalini tune in mantra, which is what invites energies in his like song that's sang by like probably millions of people at music festivals. And I look back and I was super into dubstep, and I was into some demonic shit as far as just like the music I listened to, the stuff I participated in, the art that I was making, which is all very dark. And all of the stuff that I was involved in had a very heavy, dark energy about it. And I don't know why I never thought, like, oh, there's like no way this is light. Like, I think I just thought that, like, it had to be, like, right? Because it said it was, right? But, so just to give you an update of where I'm at now, I'm building my relationship with God, and I'm really working right now on unwinding from all of the bindings that came into my mind from the new age. And have spent so much time just listening to my flesh, listening to my desires, living life exactly how I want to live it completely selfishly. That I mean, I feel like I watched some of these videos and people were like, and then I found Jesus and I woke up the next day and my life was awesome and I was so just happy forever. And I have to say, like, that hasn't been my exact experience. Like, God has had a stern hand with me. He's been showing me in the Bible where it says, like, being psychic, using astrology, all this stuff to everything I was doing essentially is so wrong and would literally get people to death sentence before Jesus came and died for our sins. And, God had such mercy to send his son to die for us. And, but honestly, what's been happening is I still feel a lot of like the pressure on my crown chakra in my head where I was inviting these energies in. And sometimes when I'm praying, I'll be praying and I'll hear like a little voice in my head that's like, you don't really mean that, or, oh, just wait a couple months, you'll be back to your old ways. And it scares me. So every day I'm waking up, reading my Bible, praying, and just asking God for his mercy. And I've just accepted that for me, this is going to maybe be a journey. And God is really letting me see the consequences of what going astray really looks like. But I just want you to know, like, I know that I am worthy of being saved, and I know that I am saved. I think that God is just really letting me experience the struggle that comes after you've spent so much time playing in the dark, having cut God off. Like, for me, it's taking time to even just feel like I can pray to directly him and like all this stuff. Like, I'm struggling, I'm struggling, but I'm really trying every day. And I want to make a video series of like after, because I find a lot of these testimonies, but I'm like, okay, so what now? Like, what are all these people doing now? Are they all just like perfectly Christian? Like, what? And so I want to like continue to make videos just to kind of bring you guys along my journey of like the stages of grief after finding out, dealing with those voices in your head that come to try to tell you you don't mean it, or, oh no, don't you remember what you learned? Like, that's just your truth, it's wrong, or just all that stuff, like this little thoughts that keep coming into my head. And I just ask God, I ask Jesus to please be there for me when I'm dealing with these things. And luckily I've already found like a good life group, and I've told people about what's been happening. But it's weird because like it's like intellectually I know that this is true, but it's taking my body some time to catch up, as far as just like, it just feels like giving up a lot at once. And it's so worth it because it's for my own salvation, but it's taking some time to get used to. And because my life was full of sin. And so just to completely flip the switch overnight, it's a journey, and it's one day at a time. And I encourage you, if you're just discovering this video, to take your journey one day at a time. Ask God to show you in the scripture, like, what stuff you should repent. And what I like to do is just ask God, like, show me what I need to read today, and I'll just open my Bible somewhere. And a lot of people do it a little differently than me, but I just like to do that. And I've been just getting shown, like, pretty much exactly what I need to read every day. But there's so much good stuff in the Bible that I'm sure that could happen for you too. But yeah, so yeah, if you're currently in the new age and this is shocking you and you're feeling like you're in denial, it's okay. I was there too. And to be honest, I'm still shocked and I'm still in shock. And it's been about a month. But I just want to say that, you know, God is merciful. He literally sent his only son to die for us. And that person is Jesus Christ. And I want you to pray for Jesus to help to soften your heart. Because I know for me, it feels like my heart has become so hard through all the years of just cutting out God and doing my own thing. Because I was trying to do it all by myself. I got hardened. And now I'm still trying to break out of feeling like I need to do some certain like ceremonies or things to get God's love. And it's really so simple. God created us to and gave us guidelines to live a life that glorifies him. He sent his only son to die for us after we clearly proved as humans that we were way too tempted by other things. And just to give us a fighting shot to ever be with God. And, we don't have to go down rabbit holes to find that fulfillment. It can come from God and through Jesus. Anyways, it's just all so simple that when you've spent so long in the new age, like reading book after book, thing after thing, it's like, how can it be so simple? And as humans, we want to understand everything and intellectualize everything. And yeah, that wasn't the case here. So things are simple. Okay, guys, I'm tired. I feel like I'm rambling. I love you. I'm going to keep you updated on my journey. And if you're just on this journey, I wish you the best of luck. Pray, read your Bible, find support. And I love you.